Not surprised. Yes, it's me for a second time today. Now, be mindful, this is Wednesday's wisdom, okay? And I just needed to get some things in here because I was prompted to do a little bit of homework and studying, right? So let's take you where I'm going so that I can get off real quick, right? Let's do it. So, my initial message started at the top before it became all this, right? It started off at one line. It was a warning, and the warning was, "All that doubt shall see the fate of Haman." And when I got to that part, when I got to Haman, it made me want to spell it the right way. So I looked up Haman, and I'd spelled it with a Y. So I had to take the Y out, and I saw that Haman was spelled Haman. And another person would say Hammond or something like that, but it's Haman. So that's the pronunciation. But upon further inspection, he's also a vizier. Vizer. That's how that's pronounced, vizier. And that is a consultant. They say vizier in Persia, right? It's a Persian consultant. And when it's concerning Haman, Haman is from the book of Esther, and that is found in the Bible. It is also taught in rabbinic studies, Jewish studies, and Esther and Mordecai. So you see how all these things relate. It's very spiritual where we're going. So take your time, and I will too. So Esther and Mordecai. Esther was a queen of the Jews, and Mordecai was her cousin, who was her guardian. Upon her father's death, Mordecai was promised to take care and guard over Esther's queendom. However, they went into the city or the citadel of Susa, the land of Shush. That is in Iran, in modern day Iran. That consists of the people of Persia, the Kurds, and Arabian. They usually have a darker olive skin and dark brown hair, almost looking appearing in black, okay? And this is the story of Esther, Mordecai, and Haman. Now, I can't pronounce the name that's in the what is that? The Christian Bible for him, but I'll pronounce Xerxes. And if anybody remembers Xerxes, we're not talking about Game of Thrones, the crazy mad queen. We're talking about the king here. The king Xerxes. And if you're a movie buff, you know that Xerxes also was the king in 300. You got that right, 300. And we do remember how Xerxes was in 300. And the couple, I don't know if it was changed the way it was set up. The couple were husband and wife. I'm not sure if they were supposed to be some other depiction of Esther and Mordecai, but yeah, something like that. Okay, so yeah. Either way, in the Bible, they were cousin and guardian. Queen Esther didn't have a king; she had a guardian. Okay, so Haman, and this is what he basically ended up doing, how he ended up undoing himself. He plotted the destruction of a people. He actually came up with a genocidal plot. And the plot was to go after the people of Esther. Esther was the queen of the Jews. He was going after not just her whole entire bloodline and anything that had to do with it. That included Mordecai. But the issue of the matter was Esther was brought to the land of Shush to become his queen. She was supposed to be uniting and bridging the kingdoms of Jewish and Persia. She was supposed to be bridging that gap, and this is how she came to the land of Shush. Haman is an Amalekite. And I found it funny that Haman is of Amalekite. I don't know. But Amalekite, the description of an Amalekite is a traditional enemy of Israel. So the Persian consultant to Xerxes was his vizier, his consultant was an Amalekite. And to spell Amalekite, you can't get around the word male. I can't make it up. Look. M-A-L-E, Amalekite. Don't worry about the writing. This is when you're just trying to get the thought out, you don't worry about the writing. Okay, so that's the Amalekites. A dash, I'm spelling it phonetically. A-M-A-L-E-K-I-T-E-S. Anybody still like kites? You know, fly a kite, take a kite. Fly a kite, take a kite. Kite, messenger. That's how you send a message. Okay, so definitely an Amalekite. He was a male kite. That is so funny when you break it down and make it real simple. He was a male kite, meaning he was a male messenger. He's a Amalekite. So I guess this is what they use their people for. It's weird. It's so much in a name. Trust me, your name is so much more important and has so much more purpose than you will ever notice. If you do not research it, you are doing yourself a disjustice. Your name is guaranteed to connect to the Bible in some kind of way. I didn't know that one of my names was more significant than not. But now, when I say this sentence out loud, it makes me know that the reason why a person picks a name is because they know your purpose. Right? And I have a first, a middle, and a last name. And I think this has something to do with my middle name. So let me break it down for you. Okay, so we've already gone through the fact that certain parts of 300, you know, even though 300 was ramped up to be a very machismo and very hyper shock, hyperactive. It was really, it just was in there, and it was so interesting and romanticized that you really weren't even bothered with the real details of how we came across this nice aggressive movie. And it went up and it went down really fast, especially when everybody was realizing that the abs were etched on. They were airbrushed abs. And then everybody decided to get BBL abs. But let's stay on subject. Drake. Get out of here. Okay, so King Xerxes, plot of Okay, so we were on a second sheet. The holy text always describes Israel as abundant and nurturing. Okay? And this is what we know about Israel. Most of the time when you read the Bible, it says Israel is she, Israel is her. It always refers to Israel as in feminine context. But Israel as a state and a country, meaning it is abundant and nurturing. The people, come on, man. The people of Israel are abundant and nurturing. I'm not going to answer that. I'm just going to ask the question. Who are the people that were deemed the people of Israel? Okay. Also, wanting to touch on Purim before I start trying to bring this all around. And I actually watched a little script of the story as I bring this around. But also, we have the holiday called Purim. And that's what's bringing me around, which is a Jewish holiday that is revered. It's a revered holiday, and we love it. I've enjoyed it. It's definitely something to behold, especially when it's done right. I love to see Purim done right. I like to see how the kids interact. I just like it. It brings about a lot of community, and it's a gathered effort. Okay? So, what I was coming around to do was talk about two women who were systematically erased. And I am starting to get it. I'm starting to get it. You know, in the Bible and in most religious texts, we don't hear a lot of stories of the wife that says no. We are only told of the stories of the wives that are forever giving. They are loyal to state and family. They are martyrs of a sense. We hear of women always having to be martyrs. But when we hear mention of Lilith, yeah, I said it out loud. When we hear mention of Lilith and Vashti, these women are demonized. Even to say their name is kind of risque because people will give you funny, funny looks. Even women, this is the programming that has happened. We have been systematically taught by our own systems to erase these two women of history. And it was funny when I had a situation happen to me in San Diego, in Escondido West, to be specific. Or was it East? It was Escondido for sure. And the doctor and the medical staff, this learned, blessed creature whom is definitely has MD, has nothing to do with Maryland, so to speak, even though Maryland is the medical capital. Yeah, he said across the nurses station from where I was, he called me Lilith. He referred to me as Lilith. And if you've ever done any research, to say Lilith is to say Vashti, and to say Vashti is to say Lilith, even though they've very much so almost won in erasing Vashti, except there was someone to embrace her, which was the women and the misandry that lives in the Jewish community. And I love it for them, and I love it for us. Because I embrace all of me, all of those things. I love kaleidoscopes because of the angles, you see. It's a geometric anomaly, the kaleidoscope. It begins with a K, and it breaks up views in different angles. And it's very fancified. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. So when we talk about Vashti and Lilith, they are both celebrated mostly by feminists. And it's almost covert. Vashti and Lilith to the patriarchal community are handled as if they were illicit drugs. Have you caught up? Yes. They are viewed as illicit because they could probably encourage more women to say no. So systematically, they were washed out of our text in our mouths because how dare you be the one to say no? And I was in danger of that because I did not know that there was a representation of exactly who I was. I couldn't word it because I wasn't trying to be anyone at all. Unconsciously, I was really just trying to be me. I didn't know that there was a group for me to go. There was a reference for me to go. I did not know I was this name. No one told me what I was. No one said that I already was named. Of course, the person who named me knew exactly who I was. They knew what I represented. That's why it became the work of Haman. The reason why Xerxes wanted to marry Esther was because Vashti had already said no. And the reason why Vashti had said no to her beloved king was not because she was really being unreasonable. It was because the king was going unchecked. See, the issue of why Vashti became demonized and looked at as though she had a forked tongue and a tail, and she was truly demonic, was because there was this one man who was her husband. And you know what her husband asked her to do? He was drinking amongst the men of the village, the most powerful to the lowliest. And the messengers who were eunuchs, look up the term eunuch. These are men that do not have the parts they need to perform the male duties. These are men rendered these are emasculated men, put it like that, permanently. And they were used as the messengers inside the palace. They were the only ones that were able to enter into the women's quarters because they weren't able to damage them in a sense. So they were sent to get Queen Vashti, this wonderful, beautiful queen that the king had as a trophy. And the request was so outrageous that she denied it. You want to know what this request was, don't you? Some of us already know. Not only did he request her come and entertain him amongst drunken men, which is something I need you to be aware of. A man should not use your presence in his life as entertainment. You should not be used to entertain the masses. You should not have to clown yourself. You should not have to degrade yourself to be in the presence of a great man. A great man will revere you, and the company that you keep and the company that he keeps will either adhere or suffer the consequences. And this is how a real king operates. Not a small king, not a mad king, not a sick king, not an unchecked king. Right? So King Xerxes and all his unchecked power and control, because he had control of grown men. He had control of people with accolades and people with villages. So how dare this woman who he took on tell him no? Well, the request that he asked was not only for her to come and entertain him and the men, but he wanted her to adorn herself in her crown only, because he wanted to display to the men that not only did he have the best of the best, he had the best wife. His eyes laid on the best species in the whole entire place. I'm missing certain words because I'm trying to hold on to this message. So how can you be so high of a king, yet you want to share your most precious reserve? You want to reduce her into a ploy or a toy so that you can compare your toy to the rest of everybody else's. Of course, you don't care to see their wives. You don't think their wives are of anything. But you want to put your wife on public display. And not only that, you want to expose her nudity so that everyone can speak from here on out about her nakedness, right? But if you really respect and you really care about her nakedness, you would not want her displayed in such a way. You would never want anyone to look at your wife in such a way. And I think this is how they started the practice of covering one's hair and being covered all the time, because that was a sick request of a king, especially having a woman of such a stature, right? But you would think over history that lesson would be learned. However, no. History was actually rewritten because of this king's reputation, his ego, how he felt. because he was the king, could not be seen lacking. He had to divorce Vashti. He had to divorce Vashti. He had to divorce her because she said no to such an idiotic request. Had she came and did exactly what he wanted her to do, that would have equally become a problem. It's usually wars. These wars are started by unrequited love or love going wrong. It's always a man and a woman at the base of it. And this is why marriage has become not only not only an institution, but a business in a lot of places. This is why marriage isn't just a piece of paper. And this is why people try to reduce it, not because they hope that you don't understand. They hope that you don't actually do your homework and your due diligence to yourself to know exactly what's going on here. And I did not know, but now that I know, it is my job to comb through the facts. I'm going through the dust that was left in the corner, because it appears everybody else is sweeping the big dirt. This is the stuff that's left in the corners of our minds, in our bodies, in our marriages, in our relationships. These are the things that are left. So when I pulled out Vashti and Lilith and I compared the two, they run parallel. Same thing, cast out of Eden, crown taken, replaced with a woman who is willing to be a martyr, who is willing to take the brunt, who is willing to take the blame of someone else. Esther is a queen, the queen of the Jews. However, she was not there for her to be a queen to Xerxes just because she was going to be the queen of Persia and of Israel. She was there solely to protect Israel and her people. It just so happened the perk was being the wife to a king. Even though she was already a queen, you need the other parts. You get it? So now she's got an army, and now she's got defenses and things of that nature, because the people from Israel are abundant and nurturing. They don't handle matters of war. So when the eunuchs came and they did all of that, and they came back and they told the king, she said no. He took offense and he ordered her red rummed. And that's a tale that's basically been told through history and TikTok, apparently. It's just that we don't know where this audacity comes from. So I went looking for the damn audacity. I did. And in the Bible, it's crazy, right? His name, Xerxes' name, starts with an A, and it's just as long as audacity. And if you actually try to pronounce it, you'll probably end up saying the audacity of this man that has such a complex name, because it starts with an A. It's Aphoris or something. It's the A, H and something. It's H something. But Xerxes' name in the Bible is a long A name, and it just looks like audacity to me. So if anybody asks where these men get the audacity, it is from back there, 300. I often imagine myself kicking like just like he kicked him into the well, the wishing well. He kicked him into the well because he came with a stupid order from Xerxes, who showed up with all these gold chains and all this stuff in the movie, and he was all sassy and stuff. And I don't think it was any daggone coincidence that they presented Xerxes in 300 like that. I don't think he was giving very metrosexual up on that thing in a way that Heyman, if you want to call him what he was Heyman in that movie, kept coming back and forth talking about some, if you don't do what Xerxes say, Xerxes gonna come get ya. And then the little tan guys with the fake abs. They did good holding up through all of that, and they was fighting and stuff. But I think, that's where the movie was like romanticized, and it was real fun and all, and they took the story and went their way with it. But this was the story, and this is how Vashti and Lilith got revamped and rebranded as demonic women who said no, because how dare any religious text keep referring to women who freaking say no. They're not even supposed to exist. So there we go, rebranding with Eve, and rebranding with Esther. And this is how we got here. So it's no coincidence that, when a lot of people they say you're reading from the Bible, you have to understand that it's part of the patriarchy. Da, 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 da. But if you don't go in and get the education from it, how will you know how to break it down and explain it? Because like I said, there has to be a lot of truth in it in order for them to break it down and make some things a lie. But if you are slowing down enough and doing your research, because I was going to say other words, but if you are slowing down enough and doing your research, you're going to pull it out. It came right out. Oh, and this brings me back to what I was saying, right? I looked up the meaning of Vashti, because you have to know what the meaning is. I looked up the meaning of Vashti. Vashti means best. Right? Right. So if Vashti means best, and Vashti was the first queen of King Xerxes, and the only thing that made her not the queen was the fact that she said no. The problem is, I did more research and found out that Vashti was a queen. Vashti was a queen in her blood. Vashti was a natural queen, and Vashti actually was born with everything. She had defenses. She had everything because she was the granddaughter of Nebuchadnezzar. Her father was Balthazar or Belf something, but her grandfather was Nebuchadnezzar. So she came from a long lineage, and she was already a queen. She wasn't the queen that Esther was, but she was already a queen in her own right, even before she actually joined with the king of Persia. So she knew her worth. She knew the name. She knew the meaning of her name. And the meaning of her name means B-E-S-T, best. Vashti means best. I don't know what Lilith means, but I like the name, and it kind of reminds me of the lily of the valley. And lily of the valley is the official flower for May, Gemini's, lily of the valley. And if you know lilies, it's different species of lilies. They're beautiful, fragile flowers. They grow abundantly, and they grow a lot, and they grow perennially. They grow every year. They come back. So yeah, lilies are wonderful species of flowers. That's Lilith. So the best lily. So putting that together, what's crazy is, I keep telling you, the person who named me knew what they were putting you in. Crazy. My middle name is Champagne. Champagne means the best. Don't let nobody spin you or send you for me.